There's a version of you that exists somewhere in the future. He doesn't lose his temper. He doesn't spiral when someone cuts him off in traffic. He doesn't replay conversations in his head for 3 days straight, rewriting what he should have said. That version of you doesn't flinch when insulted, doesn't collapse under pressure, doesn't hand his peace over to strangers who don't even remember his name. And the gap between who you are now and who that man is, it's not genetic, it's not luck. It's not something you're born with or without. It's a decision you haven't made yet, a discipline you haven't committed to, a battle you keep refusing to fight because you think the enemy is out there, when really, it's been inside your skull this entire time. You've been at war with yourself, and you've been losing. Every time you snap at someone who doesn't deserve it, you lose. Every time you let one rude comment ruin your entire afternoon, you lose. Every time you walk away from a situation feeling worse than when you entered it, not because of what happened, but because of how you reacted, you lose. And the worst part, you know it, you feel it. That heaviness in your chest afterward, that shame, that exhausting, relentless noise in your mind telling you that you're better than this, but somehow you keep falling into the same traps. So let me ask you something, and I want you to sit with this. How much of your life have you already lost to anger? How many relationships have been damaged? How many opportunities slipped away because you couldn't keep your composure? How many nights have you stared at the ceiling, replaying moments you wish you could take back? I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to tell you that what you're experiencing isn't unique. It's universal. Every man who's ever lived has felt the heat rise in his chest, the tightness in his jaw, the urge to destroy something just to feel in control again. The difference between the men who stay trapped in that cycle and the men who break free isn't talent. It's not intelligence. It's understanding. Understanding that your mind is not your master, that emotions are not commands, that the voice in your head screaming at you to react, to defend, to attack, that voice is not you. It's a pattern, a loop, a habit that's been running on autopilot for so long you've forgotten you can turn it off. But you can, and by the end of this, you're going to know exactly how. Because what I'm about to share with you isn't motivational fluff. It's not positive thinking or surface-level advice. This is a framework that's been tested for over 2,000 years, used by emperors, warriors, and slaves alike. Men who had every reason to lose their minds, but chose something different. They chose mastery. They chose silence over chaos. They chose to become unshakable, not because life got easier, but because they got stronger. And if you stay with me, if you let this sink in, you won't just learn how to manage anger. You'll learn how to become someone anger can't touch. Someone who walks through storms without getting wet. Someone who holds his ground without saying a word. That's not a fantasy. That's stoicism. And that's what we're building here together right now. So take a breath. You're exactly where you need to be. Let's begin. Think about the last time you lost it. Really lost it. Maybe it was in traffic. Maybe it was at work. Maybe it was with someone you love. Whatever it was, I want you to remember how it felt in that moment. The adrenaline, the tunnel vision, the words that came out of your mouth faster than your brain could catch them. And then afterward, that sinking feeling, that realization that you just made everything worse, that you reacted exactly the way you promised yourself you wouldn't. Now here's the thing most people never realize. That reaction didn't start when the trigger happened. It started years ago, maybe decades ago. It started the first time someone told you that anger means strength, that raising your voice means you're standing your ground, that if you don't react hard and fast, you're weak. You absorbed that message. You internalized it. And now, every time something challenges your ego, every time something doesn't go the way you planned, that old programming kicks in, and you become a slave to it. The Stoics had a word for this. They called it being under the power of externals, meaning you've given the outside world permission to control your inner state. You've handed the remote control of your emotions to people who don't even care about you, to traffic, to bad weather, to a rude comment from a stranger you'll never see again. You've made yourself so fragile that the smallest inconvenience can shatter your peace. But here's what most men don't understand. Anger isn't a personality trait. It's not who you are. It's a learned response, a conditioned reflex. And just like you learned it, you can unlearn it. You can rewire it. You can break the chain. But first, you have to see the chain for what it is. Let's paint a picture. You're driving. Someone merges without signaling and nearly clips your bumper. Immediately, your chest tightens. Your hands grip the wheel harder. You think, this idiot almost killed me. Your mind starts constructing a narrative. Maybe they did it on purpose. Maybe they think they own the road. Maybe you should speed up, pull next to them, let them see your face, let them know they messed with the wrong guy. And right there, in that moment, you're already gone. You're not driving anymore. You're imagining confrontation. You're rehearsing what you'll say. You're building a story where you're the victim and they're the villain. And by the time you get to your destination, you're still thinking about it, still angry, still carrying it. That driver, they forgot about you 3 seconds after they merged. They're listening to music, thinking about lunch, living their life. But you're still at war. You're still wounded. And the craziest part, nothing actually happened. You're fine. Your car is fine. But your mind has created an entire battlefield out of thin air. That's the trap. And most men live in it their entire lives. Now imagine a different response. Same situation, same merge, same near miss. But this time you notice the anger rising. You feel it in your chest. You feel your hands tighten. But instead of feeding it, you pause. You take one breath. And you ask yourself a single question. Will getting angry change anything? You know the answer. You've lived the answer. Getting angry won't make the driver better. It won't make you safer. It won't undo what just happened. All it will do is ruin the next 10 minutes of your drive, maybe the next hour, maybe your whole day. So instead, you let it pass. You acknowledge the feeling without acting on it. You say to yourself, that was close. I'm glad I'm okay. And you move on. Not because you're weak, not because you don't care, but because you've decided that your peace is worth more than proving a point to someone who doesn't even know you exist. That's power. That's stoicism. That's the difference between being controlled by your emotions and controlling them. And once you start doing this, once you start catching yourself in that split second before the reaction, everything changes. You start to notice how much energy you've been wasting, how many battles you've been fighting that never needed to happen, how much lighter you feel when you stop carrying every insult, every inconvenience, every disappointment like it's a personal attack. Because here's the truth most men are too proud to admit. The world is not out to get you. People are not conspiring to ruin your day. Most of the time, they're not even thinking about you. They're dealing with their own stress, their own problems, their own internal chaos. And when they lash out, when they're rude, when they do something careless, it's not about you. It's about them. But your ego doesn't want to hear that. Your ego wants to be the center of the story. It wants to believe that every slight is intentional, every inconvenience is an injustice, every mistake is a disrespect. And that's how you end up exhausted. That's how you end up angry all the time, because you're taking everything personally. The Stoic does the opposite. He assumes nothing. He takes nothing personally. He sees people as they are, flawed, distracted, struggling, just like him. And instead of judging them, instead of punishing them with his anger, he chooses understanding, not because they deserve it, but because he deserves peace. And that's the shift. That's the moment you stop being a victim of your own reactions. That's when you take your power back. So right now, I want you to think about your anger, not as something you are, but as something you do. A habit, a pattern, a choice you keep making without realizing you have other options. Because you do. You always have. You just haven't trained yourself to see them yet. And that training? It starts now. Control is a word most men misunderstand. They think it means dominance, power over others, making people do what you want, winning arguments, having the last word. But that's not control. That's desperation disguised as strength. And every time you chase it, every time you try to force someone into submission, you lose a piece of yourself. Real control has nothing to do with other people. It has everything to do with you. Let me show you what I mean. You're in a meeting. Your boss says something condescending. Not just a critique, but something personal. something that makes your blood boil. Everyone's watching. You feel the heat rising. Your face gets tight. Your fists clench under the table. Every fiber in your body wants to fire back, wants to defend yourself, wants to put him in his place. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can react. You can snap back. You can escalate. You can prove to everyone in that room that you're not someone to mess with. And maybe, for a second, it'll feel good. But then what? The tension multiplies. Your relationship with your boss deteriorates. Your reputation takes a hit. And later, when you're alone, when the adrenaline fades, you'll feel worse. Not better. Worse. Because you didn't win. You just burned energy you didn't need to burn. Now imagine the alternative. Same meeting, same comment, same heat rising. But this time, you pause. You breathe. You let the silence sit for just a second longer than feels comfortable. And then you say, calmly, "I appreciate the feedback. Let's discuss it after." And you move on. What just happened? You didn't submit. You didn't roll over. You didn't let him walk all over you. You acknowledged his words without letting them own you. You stayed in control of yourself. And in doing that, you maintained your dignity, your composure, your power. That's what the Stoics understood, that trying to control other people is a losing game. People are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to say what they're going to say. They're going to disrespect you, misunderstand you, disappoint you, and no amount of anger, no amount of reaction is going to change that. But what you can control, what you always have control over, is how you show up, how you carry yourself, how you respond instead of react. That's your jurisdiction. That's your battleground. And when you focus all your energy there, when you stop trying to change everyone else and start changing yourself, you become untouchable. Most men spend their entire lives trying to manage the outside world, trying to make people respect them, trying to force situations to go their way, and they're exhausted. Because it's an impossible task. You can't control the weather. You can't control traffic. You can't control what people think about you. But you can control your breath, your words, your posture, your energy. And when you do, when you walk into a room and nothing shakes you, when someone tries to provoke you and you don't take the bait, when chaos is everywhere and you're still calm, that's when people start to notice. That's when respect comes. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Through presence, through composure, through strength that doesn't need to announce itself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't talking about political power. He wasn't talking about armies or wealth. He was talking about the one power that actually matters. The power to govern yourself, to choose your response, to stay grounded when everything around you is trying to pull you off balance. And that's not easy. It takes practice. It takes discipline. It takes failing 100 times and getting back up. But it's possible. And once you start building that muscle, once you start seeing results, you'll realize how much of your life you've been wasting on things that don't matter. Because here's the brutal truth. Every time you let someone pull you out of your center, every time you let anger take the wheel, every time you react from emotion instead of intention, you're proving that you're not in control. You're proving that your peace is fragile, that your power is conditional, that you can be manipulated. And that's exactly what people do. They test you. They push your buttons, sometimes on purpose, sometimes by accident. But either way, the moment you react, the moment you lose your cool, they've won. Not because they beat you in an argument, but because they proved that you can be moved, that you can be rattled, that underneath all that toughness, you're just as reactive as everyone else. But the man who stays calm, the man who doesn't flinch, the man who lets insults bounce off him like rain off stone, he's the one people remember. He's the one people respect. He's the one who walks away from every situation with his dignity intact. That's the man you're becoming, not by forcing the world to bend, but by refusing to break. So the next time someone disrespects you, don't match their energy. Don't stoop. Don't engage. Just breathe. Stay still. Let them reveal who they are while you reveal who you've become. Because the loudest man in the room is rarely the strongest. The man who stays quiet, who stays steady, who stays in control of himself, that's the man who owns the room. And that man doesn't need to prove anything. His presence speaks for itself. Strength isn't something you summon in a crisis. It's something you build in the mundane, in the quiet, in the ordinary moments when no one's watching and nothing's at stake. That's where emotional mastery is forged. Not when you're tested, but before you're tested. Think about it. You don't go to the gym once and expect to bench press 300 pounds. You don't pick up a guitar once and expect to play like a master. You don't read one book and expect to be an expert. Mastery in anything is built through repetition, through consistency, through showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. The same goes for your emotions. You can't expect to stay calm under pressure if you've never practiced calm and peace. You can't expect to control your anger in the heat of the moment if you've never trained yourself to pause when things are easy. That's not how the mind works. The mind defaults to patterns, to habits, to whatever you've reinforced most often. So if you've spent years reacting impulsively, snapping at people, letting your emotions dictate your behavior, then that's what's going to happen when stress hits. Not because you're weak, but because you're untrained. Let me give you an example. You're at home. Your kid spills juice all over the carpet. It's the third mess today. You're already tired, already frustrated, and your first instinct is to yell, to let them know how careless they're being, how much extra work they've just created for you, how tired you are of cleaning up after them. But then you pause, you take a breath. You remember that this is practice. This is a rep. This is your chance to build the muscle you'll need later, when the stakes are higher. So instead of yelling, you say, "Okay, let's clean this up together." Your voice is calm, your energy is steady, and your kid, instead of shutting down in fear, responds. They help. They learn, and you walk away from that moment feeling stronger, not weaker. That's what daily practice looks like. It's not dramatic. It's not glamorous. It's just small, deliberate choices to respond differently than you used to interrupt old patterns and replace them with new ones. And the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't wait for life to test them. They tested themselves. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful leaders in history, started every day by reflecting on what might challenge him. He thought about the people who might frustrate him, the situations that might provoke him, the obstacles that might arise. Not to stress himself out, but to prepare, to mentally rehearse how he wanted to respond, so that when those moments came, and they always did, he wasn't caught off guard. He trained his mind the way a soldier trains his body, with discipline, with intention, with a clear understanding that strength isn't given, it's earned. And that's what most men miss. They think emotional control is something you either have or you don't, that it's a personality trait, that some people are just naturally calm and others aren't. But that's a lie. Calmness is a skill. Patience is a skill. Self-control is a skill. And like any skill, it gets stronger the more you practice it. But here's the key. You have to practice it when it doesn't matter. You have to build the habit in low-stakes situations so that when high-stakes moments arrive, you're ready. Because in the moment of crisis, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. If you've trained yourself to pause, you'll pause. If you've trained yourself to breathe, you'll breathe. If you've trained yourself to step back and assess before reacting, that's what you'll do. But if you've never practiced those things, if you've just been winging it your whole life, then when the pressure hits, you'll default to what you've always done, and you'll get the same results you've always gotten. So what does practice look like? It starts small. It starts with noticing. Noticing when you're about to react. Noticing when your jaw tightens. When your breathing gets shallow. When your thoughts start racing. That awareness, that's the first step. Because you can't change what you don't see. Once you start noticing, you can start intervening. You can take a breath before you speak. You can count to 3 before you respond. You can walk away for a minute to collect yourself. These aren't grand gestures. They're tiny shifts. But those tiny shifts, repeated over time, rewire your brain. They create new pathways, new defaults, new strengths. And here's the beautiful part. Once you start doing this, once you start practicing control in small moments, it starts bleeding into bigger moments. You stop losing your temper at work. You stop snapping at your partner. You stop carrying stress from one situation into the next. You start moving through life with more ease, more clarity, more peace. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was born a slave, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." He understood that true freedom isn't about external circumstances. It's about internal discipline. It's about building yourself into someone who can't be shaken, someone who can't be controlled, someone who owns his mind, his emotions, his reactions. And that ownership, it's built one moment at a time, one choice at a time, one rep at a time. So starting today, I want you to treat every frustration as practice, every annoyance as an opportunity, every moment of tension as a chance to build the version of yourself you're trying to become. Don't wait for life to test you. Test yourself. Push yourself. See how long you can stay calm when someone's trying to provoke you. See how steady you can stay when plans fall apart. See how much control you can maintain when chaos is swirling around you. Because the man who trains in silence wins in noise. The man who practices patience in small things masters it in big things. And the man who commits to daily discipline doesn't just survive pressure, he thrives in it. That's the man you're building, day by day, breath by breath, choice by choice. And that man is unstoppable. There's a lie you've been telling yourself. Maybe you don't even realize it. Maybe it's so buried in your subconscious that it feels like truth. The lie is this: if you can just get everything to go the way you want, you'll finally be at peace. If people would just listen, if traffic would just cooperate, if your boss would just recognize your value, if your partner would just understand you, if your kids would just behave. If. And so you spend your entire life trying to arrange the world into a configuration that makes you comfortable, trying to control outcomes, trying to force people into boxes, trying to make reality match your expectations. And it never works, because the world doesn't owe you anything. Life doesn't care about your plans. And the more you cling to how things should be, the more you suffer when they're not. This is the attachment trap. And it's one of the most exhausting ways to live. Because you're constantly fighting, constantly resisting, constantly disappointed. Not because life is against you, but because you're against life. You're trying to hold water in your hands and wondering why it keeps slipping through your fingers. The Stoics saw this clearly. They understood that suffering doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from your resistance to what happens to you, from your insistence that things should be different than they are, from your inability to accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because it means letting go. It means loosening your grip. It means acknowledging that most of what you're stressed about, most of what you're angry about, most of what keeps you up at night is completely outside your control. And no amount of worrying, no amount of planning, no amount of anger is going to change that. Picture this. You had your day planned perfectly. Early workout, productive morning, important meeting, everything mapped out. But then your car won't start. The meeting gets moved. Someone cancels last minute, and suddenly, your entire plan is in ruins. Your chest tightens, your jaw clenches. You feel that familiar frustration building. The day is ruined. Everything's falling apart. But is it? Or is that just a story you're telling yourself? The car didn't start. That's a fact. The meeting got moved. That's a fact. Someone canceled. That's a fact. But the day is ruined. That's interpretation. That's your mind adding meaning where none exists. That's your attachment to how you thought things should go, causing you to suffer because they didn't. Now imagine responding differently. The car doesn't start. You take a breath. You call an Uber. The meeting gets moved. You use the extra time to catch up on something else. Someone cancels. You take it as a sign to rest. None of the facts changed, but your relationship to them did. And in that shift, suffering evaporates. That's what letting go looks like. Not giving up, not becoming passive, not stopping to care, but releasing your need for things to be a certain way, accepting that life will always throw curveballs, and choosing to adapt instead of resist. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't talking about toxic positivity or pretending obstacles don't exist. He was talking about a fundamental shift in perspective, that every setback is an opportunity. Every frustration is a teacher. Every moment you don't get what you want is a chance to practice acceptance, flexibility, strength. But most men don't see it that way. They see obstacles as personal attacks, as evidence that the world is unfair, as reasons to be angry, and so they waste enormous amounts of energy fighting against things they can't change. They rage at traffic, they argue with strangers, they hold grudges, they replay conversations, they stress about things that haven't happened yet and probably never will. And all of that energy, all of that mental bandwidth could be used for something better, for something productive, for something that actually moves their life forward. But they'll never have access to it as long as they're holding on so tight. So let me ask you, what are you holding on to right now that's weighing you down? What expectation? What grudge? What need for control? What story about how things should be? And more importantly, what would happen if you just let it go? Not all at once, not perfectly, but just a little. Just enough to breathe. Just enough to see clearly. Just enough to move forward without dragging the weight of unmet expectations behind you. Because here's the truth. The world is going to keep doing what it does. People are going to keep being who they are. Plans are going to keep falling apart. And you can either spend your life resisting that reality, or you can accept it and build strength in the acceptance. Letting go doesn't mean you stop trying. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become a doormat. It means you focus your energy on what you can actually influence, your effort, your attitude, your response, and you release everything else. You release the need for people to validate you. You release the need for everything to go perfectly. You release the need to be right. You release the need for revenge. You release the need to control outcomes. And in that release, you find something most men spend their entire lives searching for: freedom. Not freedom from responsibility, not freedom from effort, but freedom from the constant mental torment of wishing things were different. Freedom from the exhausting cycle of expectation and disappointment. Freedom from being at war with reality. And when you find that freedom, when you stop clinging and start flowing, life becomes lighter, easier, not because it got easier, but because you stopped making it harder than it needs to be. The Stoic doesn't try to control the river. He learns to navigate it. He adapts. He adjusts. He finds the path of least resistance, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Because he knows that the river is going to flow regardless, and fighting it only exhausts him. So starting now, practice this. When something doesn't go your way, pause. Ask yourself, is this in my control? If the answer is yes, take action. If the answer is no, let it go. Don't feed it with your attention. Don't rehearse it in your mind. Don't carry it into the next hour, the next conversation, the next day. Just acknowledge it, accept it, and move on. Because the man who can do that, the man who can release what doesn't serve him, is the man who walks through life unburdened. And that man doesn't just survive, he thrives. Conflict is inevitable. If you're alive, if you're building something, if you're showing up in the world, you will face it. People will challenge you, disrespect you, misunderstand you, test your boundaries, and in those moments, you'll have a choice. You can see conflict as a threat, or you can see it as a mirror. Most men see it as a threat. Someone questions their authority, and they take it as an attack. Someone criticizes their work, and they hear it as an insult. Someone disagrees with them, and they feel the need to dominate the conversation, to prove they're right, to win. And in doing so, they miss what's actually happening. Because conflict doesn't reveal who the other person is. It reveals who you are. It shows where you're still fragile, where your ego is still in control, where you haven't done the work. And if you're paying attention, if you're honest with yourself, every confrontation becomes a lesson. Let me give you an example. You're at the grocery store. You've been in line for 10 minutes. Finally, it's almost your turn. And then someone walks up, bold as hell, and cuts right in front of you. Doesn't ask, doesn't acknowledge you, just steps in like you don't exist. Your body reacts before your mind does. Heart rate spikes, jaw tightens, heat rises, and in that moment, you have a decision to make. Do you call them out? Do you make a scene? Do you let everyone know that you're not someone to be disrespected? Or do you pause, step back, and ask yourself a different question? What's actually at risk here? Not your time. You'll get through the line either way, not your groceries. They're not going anywhere. What's at risk is your ego, your pride, your need to be seen, your need to be right. And the Stoic in you knows that none of that is worth the energy. So instead of reacting, you breathe. You let it go. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough not to need the validation of putting someone in their place. You walk out of that store with your dignity intact, with your peace untouched, and with the quiet satisfaction of knowing that you didn't let someone else's rudeness dictate your state of mind. That's mastery. That's control. That's what it looks like to turn conflict into practice. But most men don't see it that way. They see walking away as losing. They see silence as submission. They think that if they don't react, they're letting people walk all over them. But it's the opposite. When you react, when you let someone pull you out of your center, you've already lost. You've proven that you can be moved, that your peace is conditional, that you're still a slave to your emotions. The man who stays calm, the man who doesn't take the bait, he's the one with power. Not because he's passive, but because he's deliberate. He speaks when it serves him. He acts when it's necessary. But he doesn't waste his energy on every petty challenge that comes his way. Marcus Aurelius faced constant conflict, betrayal, war, politics, people undermining him at every turn. And yet, he didn't lash out. He didn't seek revenge. He didn't let his anger dictate his decisions. Instead, he saw every challenge as an opportunity to practice virtue, to embody the principles he believed in, to prove, not to others, but to himself, that he was in control. And that's the shift. Conflict stops being about winning or losing. It stops being about proving yourself. It starts being about testing yourself, about seeing how long you can stay composed, how steady you can remain, how much control you can maintain when everything around you is trying to pull you off balance. Every insult is a test. Every provocation is a test. Every unfair moment is a test. And the question isn't whether you can dominate the other person. The question is whether you can dominate yourself. So the next time someone disrespects you, try this. Don't react. Don't fire back. Don't match their energy. Just breathe. Stay still. Let them show who they are while you show who you've become. Because the loudest man in the room is rarely the strongest. The man who stays quiet, who stays steady, who stays in control, that's the man people remember. That's the man people respect. Not because he demanded it, but because he earned it through presence. And that presence, it's not given, it's built. One conflict at a time, one choice at a time, one moment of restraint at a time. So don't avoid conflict. Don't fear it. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it reveal where you still need to grow. Let it teach you what you're made of. Because every time you stay composed when someone tries to provoke you, you prove something to yourself. Something far more valuable than dominance. You prove that you're unshakable, that you're in control, that you've done the work. And that's a victory no one can take from you. And that's a victory no one can take from you. But it only matters if you choose it again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Because mastery isn't a moment, it's a practice. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel that surge, the tightening chest, the heat, the urge to react, pause. Remember this moment. Remember who you're trying to become. Ask yourself one question: is this worth my peace? If it is, act with intention. If it isn't, let it go without regret. That's Stoicism in action. If this resonated with you, subscribe. This channel isn't about motivation. It's about building a mind that doesn't break under pressure. And if you're ready to go deeper, watch the next video, because the work of becoming unshakable starts now.